My name is Dave Colby, and I'm really pleased to be here today with Mary McEwen, the President and Chief Executive Officer for Keystone Community Services. Thanks, Mary, for speaking with me and to us.
Well, I'm really happy to be here, even though we're doing it kind of in this new virtual format, but always happy to be sharing what's happening at Keystone and what's happening in our community.
Great. Thanks so much. Mary, it seems like a lifetime ago that you spoke in our sanctuary about the work of Keystone. And it's just really hard for me to believe. It was just February of 2020 that the Vocal Point concerts highlighted and raised money to support the work of Keystone's Express Bike Shop. So much has changed since then. I want to discuss how the pandemic has impacted Keystone's work, but maybe first you could start by telling us about the variety of services that Keystone provides.
Sure. So Keystone, as I've said before, has been around for over 80 years. And we serve, a large chunk of Ramsey County, primarily St. Paul, and we serve youth, families, and seniors. And we do that in a lot of different ways. You learned about Express Bike Shop, which is kind of our premier youth employment experience. So we have a large youth employment program where we help young people get the employment skills that they need to be successful in the working world. And then we have after-school programs for youth, as well as active senior programs for seniors that want to come and exercise and do all kinds of things to kind of challenge themselves and their brains and be with others. And then we have a large case management program for seniors, so seniors that need some extra support so they can stay independently in their own home or in a community setting. And then we also have our food shelf program, which is wrapped up with crisis support services as well as care management services. And altogether, Keystone supports over 37,000 people a year in Ramsey County. And we do that with the very significant help of 2,500 volunteers. Really could not do our work without those wonderful volunteers that come and help us get all of these important services out into the community.
That's great. And I love the broad range of activities and the people that Keystone serves. Really gives a sense of just how impactful you are when you talk about that number of volunteers and the number of people that you serve. We're going to be focusing in on hunger and food ministry today, but maybe you could give us a quick update about Express Bike. Have they been able to stay open during the pandemic?
Yes, well, we, when the governor did the stay-at-home order, we were a little surprised to hear that bike shops were considered essential services. We assumed our food shelves would stay open because they were essential services, but bike shops were too, and for the obvious reasons. It was one way for people to be able to get themselves transported from one place to another without having to be in crowded public spaces. And so with the support of Vocal Point, we were able to really we did a big refresh of our bike shop space and kind of did it just in time because we were able to broaden the amount of space that's available in our sales floor. So we were able to safely have numerous people in there shopping for bikes at the same time. And I'm very pleased to say that we have youth working in there this summer. We've had to shift how they do their work with us so that they're with us in the mornings. And so we can be safely distanced with the number of staff we have in there. And then we had a record month in the month of June for sales. And we have just been so grateful for the support from our community who have come out and really kind of modified along with us and bought bikes from us, because this is a great place to support not only a local youth program, but also be able to get a high quality used bike and get your repairs done and get your service done. And so we've been, pleasantly surprised that by staying open and kind of making these modifications in communication with everybody, that we were able to have a really great month of June, and July proved to be the same.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're finding out what's essential, aren't we?
Mhm.
What we
Yeah.
really need to thrive during this time.
Yeah, and we were thrilled to be able to bring youth back into the space because we waited until the school year was over and the stay-at-home orders were over, and they are really happy to be back in person with us. And they're doing a great job of adhering to all the guidelines, particularly when they're working with customers. And so that's again been a great experience for them. And the Vocal Point support really helped us, kind of manage all of that at a time when we weren't expecting to. So it was great.
Great. Well, our worship service today is about hunger and food ministry. And I'd love to hear from you. How is this pandemic impacting hunger and food availability in the Twin Cities? And how is Keystone responding?
Well, Keystone has responded in several ways. First of all, right when the pandemic hit, we had kind of two things happen. One was we had to quickly change our format from a shopper's model where people came and shopped for their food like they would in any small grocery store, to a prepackaged model. And that's challenging because we always want our participants to have as much choice as possible, but there was just no safe way to have people come and shop through the store. So we learned a lot of things early on. We learned how to put together packages safe for our more homeless or what we call precariously housed population. They needed things that were grab and go. So when they came and shopped on their own, we weren't really paying attention to what they were putting in their baskets. And so they quickly told us, oh no, the prepackaged box that you put together for us is not going to work. We need this and this and this. So then we were able to go out to our community and say, these are the kind of items we need donated. So it was a wonderful way for us to get information quickly from our participants, but also make sure that we're getting them the food that they can use and need. The other thing that really happened quite quickly too is, as I was speaking earlier, we have a lot of volunteers that support our work. Many of them were of the population that needed to stay home and isolate. So we had a 2-week period there where we had a lot of volunteers have to stay home, and we had to quickly bring staff in or bring in other volunteers. And we've been able to manage that. We had a lot of people who were laid off and unemployed come and help us. And so we were able to kind of make those shifts. It was a little challenging to do all of those things at the same time. But we knew we needed to be there for our community, and we wanted to be there in the safest way possible for our participants, but also for our staff and our volunteers that were in the space. So every time we got a new guideline out from MDH, we were making those shifts so that we could make sure that our volunteers felt really safe about coming into the space, our staff were feeling safe, and that frontline work that they were doing was really going to be effective.
So a lot of shifting of kind of the ways you serve people and the way you use volunteers and donations. How about hunger more generally? Are we seeing a rise in the problem of people lacking food or needing more supplemental food?
Well, one of the things that happened this summer that we were thrilled about and during the school year was we saw lots of other programs come up. So the schools were bringing food to the bus stops where the children would normally congregate to get on the bus. We had Parks and Recreation programs working with Loaves and Fishes and the Y to have ready-made meals. And so what happened is we didn't see a huge increase in the number of people coming to us in those first 6 to 8 weeks. What we saw was a number of new people coming to us. So many of the people that were coming to our doors weren't people that have come to us, over the last few years on and off, but people that had never come into Food Shelf before. And so that was a great experience for us to kind of show them how it works, to be able to be that welcoming place. And then now we are starting to really see an increase, and Second Harvest released a report recently that is really saying that with the unemployment benefits going away or at minimum being reduced, they think that we in Ramsey County are going to see anywhere between a 40 and a 66% increase in the amount of food that needs to be available to give out to our community. So we're thinking that's going to mean anywhere between a 25 and 40% increase in the number of people coming to our doors. And we're starting to see that happen. We've been able to supplement our food shelf services with some drive-through distributions. We did one at Allianz Field in June. We just did one last week, where we provide a very safe opportunity for people to pick up these CFAP boxes, COVID Food Assistance Program boxes, which are made up of food that come from the farmers whose food wasn't able to be used in restaurants and in cafeterias. We get those through our partner Second Harvest, and that's an easy way for people to just drive through. The boxes go in their car. It's meat, dairy, produce, and shelf-stable goods. So we're looking at all kinds of different ways to get food out to the community in the safest way possible with the least amount of barriers.
That's great. And some people worshiping with us today might be facing hunger and food shortages themselves. So first, I want to say we have a Deacons Emergency Fund, and Central can and stands ready to help. So please contact the church office. It is okay to ask for help, and we would love to be supportive to you. Mary, maybe you can talk to us a little bit about what is it like when somebody contacts Keystone looking for help with food? How does that first conversation go?
Well, generally, they will go to our website or they use social media. That's what we have found throughout this summer and throughout the crisis, is that social media is really a great way to get the word out to people about these free food distributions, our produce distributions. So they often call or they just show up. And then what we tell people is it's best if you can bring a photo ID, because then we can just use that to get your information and put it into our system. We put people's names into our system only so we can track the number of visits and track zip codes and things like that and demographics. But you just need to do that once. And we want to make, as I said earlier, we want to make it as low barrier as possible. So you don't need to bring a piece of mail. You don't need to bring your income. You don't need to bring your pay stub. You do have to answer a short little survey that asks you about your income, but that's all information that you share. You don't share it with us. And you make, and that's something you do once a year. We're required to do that by Second Harvest. So we try to make it as easy as possible. And right now we're making it so that you come into our lobby one person at a time. So if you're a new participant, you're going to be in a very safe environment. Everything's been cleaned, everything's sanitized. And then what happens is you get a food package dependent on the size of your family. So if you tell us you're a family of 4, you're going to get about $180 worth of food in your visit to the Keystone Food Shelf. And that's going to be, again, food like dairy and milk and cheese and meats and lots of produce and breads and staples like rice and pasta sauce and beans and cereal and things like that. The other thing we have is we have diapers, we have household goods. We were able to get lots of sanitizing supplies and get those out to people. And then if you come to our food shelf and you don't have a mask, we'll have a mask for you. So we want to make sure everyone can participate safely.
That's great. That just sounds like a really a process that honors people and makes them feel safe and welcome. And you know, I think so. Your focus on having low barriers is so important. I mean, I think as a community, we know that sometimes it's really hard to ask for help. And
one of the things I try to say over and over again is, like COVID, none of us saw this coming. So it's nobody's fault that all of a sudden your budget is being stretched very thin. And we just want people to know that that's what food shelves are for. Come and get that $180 or more worth of groceries, so then you can use your other dollars to pay for other things that are equally important, like rent and car payments and insurance, and use us as a temporary way to kind of help you get through this bad spot in your life. That's what food shelves are for. That's what we've always been there for. And that's really an important thing we think families and seniors and individuals need to know is, that's why we're here, and we are here to help and to serve and to support you during this challenging time. That's what we're here for.
So these are challenging times, Mary, and there are so many needs. There are so many people that are going through bad spots. How do you maintain hope?
Oh, that's a great question. And we were talking about this a little earlier, but I have just tried every day, and I think our staff are doing the same thing. And we have these wonderful volunteers that do this with us as well, is to find some of the silver linings in this. One of the things that we did immediately upon all of this happening is I tell people we kind of went old school. We literally just picked up the phone and called people and checked in on them, our seniors that are on Meals on Wheels programs, the families in our youth programs, people that had come to us for crisis support, because we knew everybody was floundering. And so we just literally used our staff and our volunteers to pick up that phone and make that connection and help that person understand, hey, we got you, we have your back. And I think the stories then that we heard from that was people that really are saying, yeah, we can manage this. I've been through hard things before. And I think that's, that resiliency that sits there in our community amongst everyone. We're trying to figure out ways to unlock that and to remind ourselves and remind each other that this is something we can get through together. And we've been so grateful for the support from our community. And that gives us a lot of joy. And it helps us feel like we've got other people in the community helping us do this really important work.
Mary, thanks for your time with us. And thank you for your work and for the really important work that Keystone's doing. We're grateful to you.
Well, I am so pleased to be able to share this message with you. And I would just leave it with, our community is hurting. And there are lots of ways that you can help if you want to support the work that's going on in your community. I am open to any conversation, much like you said. Please call us, let us know what you're interested in doing. But if you're someone out there that's kind of going, oh, I don't know how I'm going to make this work, with my unemployment not being what I thought it was going to be, and I've got all these other expenses, really, Keystone is the place for you to come. Other food shelves are just like us. So if you don't necessarily live in our service area, reach out, because that's what we're here for. And if we do this together, we can make sure that everybody's fed, everybody has what they need, and we will get through it together.
Thanks so much, Mary.
You're welcome.